Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This is my first YouTube video. I've jumped on that YouTube bandwagon years too late. But yeah, COVID has kind of ruined everything and I'm unemployed and I'm bored and I need something to do. So to give me a reason to stop taking depression naps all day and do my hair and makeup, to feel like a real person, we are gonna give this a go. I did my makeup for maybe the third time since March today. So I did kind of a burnt brown smoky look, which feels great. Like I might have to leave my house today, do a Trader Joe's run or something. So if you wanna see how I did this look, keep watching and hopefully it's not too embarrassing and awkward, but no promises. So let's just jump right in. Okay, I'm gonna start with my eyes. I typically do start with my eyes because I make a mess and I think it helps if your eyebrows and everything are done to give a frame for the eyeshadow. So I am going to start with my eyebrows and I just use everyone's favorite Anastasia Brow Wiz and I use medium brown. I don't go too crazy with my eyebrows. Mine are pretty full, so I just kind of lengthen them. That's my main issue. So I always start with the tail and you want to extend it down to from the corner of your eye, and mine are very short. And I start at the bottom and kind of trace the outline and then just fill it in with little strokes. And I like to keep it kind of lighter up here and darker on the outer tail. For eye primer, I know a lot of people use concealer nowadays, but I think that's too hydrating and creamy to function as a primer. I usually use Stay Don't Stray by, I think it's Benefit, but I am out. So I'm gonna dip back into this good old paint pot from MAC. This is Soft Ochre. And I just use my finger and completely cover all the veins and redness that I have here. For eyeshadow, I'm gonna go in with this KKWxMario Palette. We're gonna go in with this light brown one here. And I'm gonna use a big fluffy brush. And I'm just gonna throw it on there. I'm bringing it all the way into the inner corner. Now for a little more definition in the crease, I'm gonna go in with this little Nars duo in Surabaya. And I'm going in with this shade here, and I'm gonna use a denser fluffy brush. And I'm just gonna build it up deeper in the crease area. Then using that first big fluffy brush that still has the initial color on it, I'm just gonna go over where the two colors meet and blend them together. Gotta keep that shit blended. Now I'm gonna go in with a contour kit, a cream one, and I'm gonna just use one of the darker brown creams, and I'm just gonna throw that over the eyelid, mainly down towards the lash line, because I want the eyeshadow to be a lot deeper right at the lashes to just give it like a smoky effect. I'm gonna go in with my finger just to get a little more product on there. And then blend it out with the brush. Now going back to the KKW palette, I'm gonna use this really dark brown shade and I'm gonna go over the cream that we just put down. I'm bringing it right up into the crease, and then I'm turning the brush sideways and going over that line in the crease just to kind of diffuse the product so that it's a little more blended. Now I'm going back to the Nars duo and I'm gonna use the shimmery shade here, and I'm gonna go over the lid again to give it just a little sheen. Now I think I want to bring a little kind of burnt redness into this. So we're going back to the KKW palette and using this reddy brown and a little fluffy brush. And I'm going to bring that into the outer V of the crease. And I'm bringing it down to the corner of the lid as well. And then lightly bringing it up and into the outer edge of the crease. I'm not bringing it all the way in, just keeping it on the outside. Now for liner, I think I'm going to use brown. You could use black and make this really dramatic and smoky. I'm going to go with a brown Kohl pencil. This is the Charlotte Tilbury, and this is in Barbarella brown. It's the Rock and Kohl. And I'm just going to throw this on above the lash line. Not precise, because we're going to blur or blend it out afterwards. So just throw it in there. And then using a flat definer brush, we're gonna smudge that out using the dark brown shade from the KKW palette, this one here. We're gonna just go over the pencil, just wiggling it back and forth and smoking it out a bit. Now I'm gonna start flicking the outer corner up with more of that brown shadow, and I'm just kind of flicking the liner upwards towards the outer V, because I just want to kind of blend it all together so all the colors just kind of go into each other seamlessly. Now I'll go in, I'm actually gonna mix the dark brown and the red. And we're just gonna go over that outer corner of liner just so everything comes together. Now a little mascara and the fake lashes, which is the worst part always. For lashes, I'm gonna use Ardell Demi Wispies. Nothing fancy, but they're so good. And this is probably gonna be a struggle because I have not put on lashes in like 8 months. Help me. Okay, lashes are on. That was fairly painless. And then I just covered the band with the Kat Von D liquid liner. And now we're gonna highlight under the brow because I totally forgot. We're just gonna go in with that same Kim palette. I'm gonna do the matte white first. And then maybe we'll do a little shine underneath. We'll see. Now I'm going in with the shimmery shade, just a tiny bit. Just a touch up here, right under the arch. Just a little bit. I'm gonna go in with my eye cream. I'm very dry under my eyes, so this helps my concealer for sure. For my moisturizer, I'm using the Kiehl's Ultra Facial Moisturizer. For my primer, I'm using the Tatcha Silk Canvas. This shit is so nice. I got it for free and I wanted to hate it because Tatcha's kind of pricey, but it's lovely. I just use a tiny bit though. Gotta make that shit last. And mostly we're just concentrating on my massive pores around here. I do color correct because I have some issues. So I use the Urban Decay Naked Skin in green and peach. So the green, I get really red, like absurd, around my nose and my chin and a little bit here, but mostly it's my crazy red nose. It's so annoying. And then I have a lot of hyperpigmentation or melasma. So I'll go in with the peach and cover that shit up. I get it mostly on my forehead. Super cute. And a little up here on my cheeks, which is really bad. But really it's everywhere. Let's be real. And then just with the Real Technique stippling brush, blend that in. Now using my beauty blender, I'll go with my Makeup Forever HD in Y355. This is my all-time favorite foundation. It's really buildable, so if you're a full coverage kind of person, you can get that. I kind of like it in between. I don't mind if some of my freckles show through. And then you can just kind of build up in the areas you need it. If you have breakouts or areas where I have a lot of really dark melasma, I'll build up a little higher there. And don't forget your ears, y'all. I use Nars concealer in light 2.5 Creme Brûlée. I think concealer is another thing people use way too much of. So I only put it where I really need it, which is in the inner corner of my eye. I'm a little dark there. And a hollow. I don't have filler anymore. And a little out here. And then to highlight in these areas, and then where I'm red, we'll put a little extra. And that's really all you need. You only need it if you need to cover stuff. You don't really need to paint your entire face with it in order to get a highlighted effect. And then it just ends up looking cakey later on. It's just too much product. Now we're gonna set with powder. I do not use a lot of powder. I'm not a fan of baking. I think it's just too much, especially for me because I tend to be kind of dry. So I'm just gonna go in with a really light powder that has a little sheen to it under my eyes. I love this old MAC one, the Mineralize Skin Finish. I use Light Plus. And I'm just gonna dab some of this under my eyes. And then I'm also gonna use this on the chin, forehead, and nose. Now for the rest of my face, I will use the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder that everyone loves. And I'm gonna use a puff, and I'm gonna use just a tiny bit to set the rest of my face. To contour, I'm gonna go in with Hoola. And I start with a very small amount of product and I build up. So I'm gonna start at my ear and swipe down. I'm lifting my brush at the end so that you don't get that horrible, chalky, unblended shit. And then I'll just slowly kind of build up back by my ear. And I'm starting at the back because that's where I want the most product. So if you start here, you're gonna have way more color here and it's gonna blend that way. So you wanna start in the back. And then I'll do my jaw because everyone wants a sharp jaw these days. And then my forehead, I just do a little, I have a slightly tall forehead, so I'm just gonna lightly shade at the top. And for my nose, I'll use a small fluffy eyeshadow brush, just a little bit of product again. And I'll just trace down the sides of my nose. I don't need to do a lot of reshaping here, so I'm just lightly defining the outer edges. And a tiny bit at the end. For blush, I'm gonna use Luxe by KKW Beauty. It's kind of a peachy, orangey shade. I'm kind of sticking with the undertones of my eyes. I did a lot of orangey brown. Just using a blush brush. I'm gonna tap that on the apples of my cheeks and then blend it upwards. Now we're gonna finish the eyes. So let's see. I'm gonna go in with the dark brown shade up here. from the KKW palette, and with the flat definer brush that I used earlier, I'm just gonna put that right up in the lash line. And then I'm gonna go over that with the red brown shade in the outer edge, just to bring a little of that color down there. Just a little. And then with the pencil brush, I'm gonna use that initial lighter brown shade, and we're gonna buff that all out. And I'm making sure I'm getting it all the way to the outer edge so that it connects with the shadow from the upper lashes. And with the brown pencil that we used earlier, I'm gonna speaking of, I'm gonna line the waterline, upper and lower waterline. And it helps if you have that spastic blinking situation going on. If you look away from the eyeliner, from the pencil tip, it really helps with the blinking, especially when you're doing other people's makeup. If you have them divert their eyes from the tip of the pencil, it really helps. Then a little mascara on the bottom lashes. I always make such a fucking mess when I do this. Now for highlight, I'm gonna start with the Becca Champagne Pop, which I broke like a year ago, and I am way too cheap to replace it. And then I'm gonna do the cheekbone. A lot of people go too high here. You don't want it like under your eye, accentuating the hollowness. You want it on the cheekbone to make it pop. Make that cheekbone look a little higher. And then I usually take mine a little bit up the temple and then a little left over right above the eyebrow. And the chin, Cupid's bow, and the nose. Okay, so I'm not done yet. I'm gonna go in now with, ooh, I gosh, stuff on my lips. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in with the Marron Sweat and Tears. Ooh. This is just to give kind of a natural glowy highlight. So I'm just gonna put like a drop on the back of my hand. And then I'm gonna use my finger and I'm gonna dab it over all those areas that I just put the powder. And it kind of just gives you like a natural dewy, glowy look. I'm gonna go over it with just the damp beauty blender just to make sure it's all absorbed. Now for lips, I'm gonna go in with MAC Spice, and I'm just gonna line all over the lip. I'm gonna take a Q-tip and just kind of rub all that in, just so it's kind of like that blotted look. And then using Velvet Teddy, I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna set it with this Skindinavia spray. I usually use Fix Plus, but I don't have any. And I got this one for free, so we're gonna use it up because we're unemployed. Oh, I forgot to set my brows. I just used the Anastasia brow gel. All right, so this is the look. Yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully that wasn't so bad, you know? They'll only get better, I swear. So yeah, see you next time. God. I need somewhere to go. Ah.